Hey everybody, how's it going? Josh here, and today we're going to talk about the Tesseract's role in Captain Marvel. So the Tesseract, aka the Space Stone, has basically been confirmed to be in Captain Marvel in some capacity by Samuel L. Jackson, who, for whatever reason, has recently been spoiling a lot of tidbits that were unknown beforehand about the upcoming movie. I don't know if he's talking to someone thinking it's off the record and not realizing that people are taking notes, but definitely I'm hoping he kind of stops spoiling stuff so we can kind of be surprised at least about something in this movie, because so far Marvel's done a fantastic job between Endgame and Captain Marvel not letting stuff really leak out, since usually, at least at this point, we would have some sort of full-on plot leak of some sort on like Reddit or 4chan or one of those multiple sites. But the Tesseract during the time period of the movie is in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody because Howard Stark finds it in the ocean while searching for Cap's body. So we know for a fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. has a Tesseract. That's something that we already kind of knew from the previous movies, and the featuring of Project Pegasus in this movie during the S.H.I.E.L.D. HQ scene where Carol and Nick Fury are there basically. But the one thing that's weird about that is from the original Avengers movie that came out a few years back by Joss Whedon, it was seemingly hinted to us that Project Pegasus was more of a recent endeavor due to the recent superhuman activities going on Earth between the first Thor movie, Iron Man, all that stuff. We were led to believe that Project Pegasus was recent with regards to its operations as a project in S.H.I.E.L.D. But according to the Captain Marvel movie, from what we've been leaked out and told here and there, it appears that Project Pegasus is actually a full-blown thing. I mean, during filming there was even a casting call for a quote-unquote Project Pegasus guard. So it definitely seems like at this point in the MCU, Project Pegasus was not a, thing that was in the process of being created and things like that. It seems like it was a full-on research operation studying the Tesseract in the movie and in the MCU by S.H.I.E.L.D., all that stuff. So not really sure if they're going to retcon that basically or not, but I thought it was kind of interesting, especially because Project Pegasus had a base in the Mojave Desert area. And if you watch the trailer, it looks like Carol and Nick Fury at one point are kind of driving in a similar area, presumably to that base that Project Pegasus is at. So definitely really interesting, and it's also interesting because the Tesseract more or less has kind of taken the place of the Cosmic Cube, at least in the first few MCU movies it was in, before it formally just became the Space Stone. And what's interesting about that is that the Skrulls and Kree both actually have a history with the Cosmic Cube or Tesseract in the comics. The Skrull especially have a lot of history with the Cosmic Cubes, to the point where they had a Cosmic Cube that eventually evolved to become the entity called the Shaper of Worlds. And you could really go into the history of the Cosmic Cubes and how they come from the Beyonders and all that stuff, but that's probably something that more so should be delved into during a different video. But the Skrulls, it's very possible they want the Tesseract for power, just like Red Skull wanted the Tesseract for power, but instead of it being a war such as World War II, they want it to help their war against the Kree. And also it's possible that the Skrulls want the Tesseract, knowing it's the Space Stone, to transport their species maybe to a new world. Because in the comics, it's a thing where the Skrulls don't have a homeworld, and that's actually one of the original reasons that they kind of start the whole Secret Invasion storyline. Because they decide, you know what, we have no homeworld, we're just going to assimilate Earth, infiltrate Earth, and take over that planet. And in the comics, it's related to the Phoenix Force destroying it and all that stuff, and I believe there's a comic also where Galactus is partially responsible for the destruction of the Skrull homeworld. So considering that's such a big thing that happens in the comics, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, and that's the kind of true motivation behind what the Skrulls are doing. Maybe to make them more sympathetic, I don't know, but at the same time, it's possible the Kree want the Tesseract, vice versa, for power to take on the Skrulls and defeat the Skrulls during their long-standing war. And also it's possible that the Kree simply want the Tesseract maybe to enhance kind of the power of the Supreme Intelligence, which kind of leads their society, or maybe they want to use that energy to enhance warriors to make more beings like Carol to kind of fight in their military force. Because if you remember, the Mind Stone energy was used to enhance people that made Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Like, sure, not every person exposed survived the experiments, but the fact that a few did does leave the possibility that maybe the Kree know of some way that they can experiment on others and therefore make superhuman abilities in others appear and make beings like Carol, or pseudo-inhumans if you will, since the Kree are somewhat actually responsible for that, but whether this movie will acknowledge the Inhumans or not remains to be seen. But I do think it's really interesting that we're going to get somewhat of a hunt for the Tesseract on Earth, and maybe this kind of hunt for the Tesseract is what inspires Nick Fury and the MCU to try weaponizing the Tesseract tech more in case of an incoming alien invasion, because he did seem very convinced they needed this technology to fight off alien forces, and in Avengers, even though I doubt they knew what they would do in the upcoming Captain Marvel movie at that point, it is kind of interesting to note that Nick Fury seemed very certain that there were not only other alien species out there, but there were alien species out there with eyes either on Earth or with interactions already on Earth that may lead to some sort of invasion or war that humanity would need to defend itself in order to survive. So comment below your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about this stuff? It's been selling a lot for pre-sales so far, so comment below your guys' thoughts, and we'll see you guys later.